As a Yankee fan, I will say that going into the season, the thing that we were not supposed to be worried about was the back end of the bullpen. And Chapman has just shown, and he was off for a month, by the way, because he was suspended. He has shown so much fatigue, and who knows, maybe it's Joe Madden overused him. I don't know. And Betances, listen, he looked good last night, but he's been a problem. Last night, I will say this with Girardi, it just bothers me. And maybe I'm kind of like an old school guy, but when Chad Green went in and pitched 2 solid innings, why not go Green another inning? Or why not go Warren one more? Why not go Betances another one? And that's the thing with baseball nowadays, Tom, and I'm sure you agree, is that, we have to get it to the closer. We have to get it to the closer.
Games are 4 hours long. The relievers are the stars. Look, I'm looking at the box score of this Yankees-Red Sox game, which has been a great one after Holiday homered in the ninth.
Right.
Your Yankees are on their 1, 2, 3, 4. They're on the sixth pitcher, excuse me. And so is Boston. I mean, this game's going to take 9 hours, which is typical of Boston and New York.
I love Girardi. I really do. I think that he has done a solid job with not much to work with over the last couple of years.
Speaking in Yankees history.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Embarrassment of riches,
But his lack, and I tweeted this out last night, his bullpen management bothers me. And last night I was sitting there and I'm like, when Chapman came in, and I just said to myself after the Didi, I thought, listen, the defense kind of let him down last night. So you really, yeah, you blame Girardi, yeah, you blame Chapman. Yankees defense didn't do good at all last night either. But I just had a bad feeling as a Yankee fan. I had a bad feeling, and sure enough,
the defense more than kind of let that down.
It was bad.
Vicious display.
They looked like a little league team last night.
Yeah. I mean, they're booting balls all over the place. Second base especially, obviously. It was out there.
But would you agree? I saw someone say this, and they were kind of taking the thing off of Girardi, and they said Girardi's job as a manager is to get to the ninth inning with a lead to his closer, and he did that. So you can't blame Girardi, which I get, but again, I guess the old school baseball guy in me. It's like Betances didn't pitch bad, and his pitch count was low in the eighth. Go him out there for the ninth. Give him some confidence out there. Let him close it out.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm just a frustrated Yankee fan.
Believe me, I love hearing from frustrated Yankees fans.
Yeah.
So sick and tired of hearing from bloviating Yankees fans. Just 3 over now after that wonderful start. Now, here's the thing you got to remember, though, if you're a Yankee fan, and I'm sure you are. With all these young kids coming up, you don't really worry too much if this is not the year to win a pennant, because they're going to be in this battle for a long time. Like, I can only tell you from our experiences here in Philadelphia, they were supposed to have a similarly talented crop of young players. The reality is none of them have been able to prove anything yet on the big level, and the guys down in the minors, despite the fact they're having team success, individually speaking, aren't blowing anybody away, from what I'm told. So that's when you're in a helpless situation. When you felt like you've done enough to booster your young, talent across single, triple, and double A, and then they kind of fall flat on their face to open the year. And, oh, by the way, the big ball club is the worst in the league. That is a helpless feeling.
The one thing I will say as a Yankee fan is, yes, I went into the season not expecting playoffs. I thought, obviously, they were overachieving. They've cooled down, obviously. But what bothers me and what kind of worries me a little bit is that, yeah, we have a great crop of young position players. I want to see more pitching. That's what scares me. And they're going about, free agency, and we'll get Machado, and we'll get Harper. You need pitching to win in this league. And that's the only thing, to me, that worries me. I'm very excited about the kids coming up.
Although they are hitting, as Francesca called it, a golf ball nowadays, and I kind of agree with him. That was actually a decent line.
That was.
The ball is jumping out of the park. I know Manfred and company are saying it's not juiced. Something's up. We're seeing the players again. But, how are there so many home runs? You talk baseball, unfortunately. I'm guilty of this, too. I have to admit I'm guilty of it. But every time you talk baseball, if you want to get a million calls on it, you got to talk about what's wrong with the game. And these guys are smart. They hear that. I don't know. Maybe a phone call was made. I just think the ball is jumping off these bats a little bit more than they used to. Maybe bats, I don't know.
And I look at a team like the Mets, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Yankee fan, but the Mets, they pump out home runs like crazy. And I'm looking up there in their lineup. They have a few home run hitters, but they're just putting the ball over the park this year. And to me, it boggles the mind. And then you hear about, is the ball juiced? It very well could be. Anything, listen, baseball needs to market these young players coming up, Judge, Harper, Trout. It's good for the game. And let's face it, Tom, and again, you've been around, you know this, 98, baseball got back on the map with the home run ball. So I would not be surprised if these balls are juiced. I don't think the players are juicing, but maybe the balls, maybe the bats, something's up because the ball is leaving the park a lot this year.
Yeah. If you remember back in 2000...
I mean, Seth Lugo hit a home run today. I mean, come on.
If you remember, what's the name of that writer for Sports Illustrated? I think he recently passed. Frank, what's his last name?
Oh, tip my tongue. I do not know. Hold on.
What about though?
Yes.
I can't think of his last name. D something? Frank DeFord, is that right?
I'm on it now.
Sounds right? I think it is. Anyway, the writer for SI, I should know his name. He interviewed Sandy Alderson, an MLB vice president, to discuss the possibility of a conspiracy by Major League Baseball to doctor the balls, if you remember. And Alderson denied this possibility and discredited it as a conspiracy theory from those over at Sports Illustrated. But
it is Frank DeFort, yes.
Yeah, it is Frank DeFord. I thought so. Some players in that 0-2 World Series complained that the balls were juiced too after that 11-10 game, and Alderson denied those allegations. The juiced ball theory has receded in popularity since the exposure of widespread use of steroids and other PEDs. But now it seems like most people are looking at that other than PEDs. How do we know that it's not back to being what it was? We always want to blame the baseball. In reality, we probably should be blaming the players. I don't know, but I think it helps. I think it's a way to bring in these young kids. That home run derby got phenomenal reviews. Now, the rating was only up very slightly, but still, everybody who watched it loved that home run derby. That's what baseball needs, because the reality is, and again, I'm not looking to make this a what's wrong with baseball, but it just proves the point that many make, including myself. Did you notice the rating, Chris? They had about 5.6 million, 50 and over, and less than 2 million in every other the other two demographics.
Which is odd. Well, I mean, not odd because...
Well, that's why the NBA, we were talking earlier about 18 to 14 timeouts. 3 timeouts down to 2 timeouts in the final 3 minutes. That's going to get you out of there in 2 hours. Now, a lot of people, especially older guys, are going to get annoyed. You know, we pay a lot of money. We travel. I want to relax, enjoy the game. But if they want to get the young viewer, and they do, advertising and everything else in the future of the game, you can't have these games go so long. I think at this stage, I'd be shocked. Judging from the little I know about Rob Manfred at this point, I'd be shocked if major changes aren't coming at the end of the year to baseball.
I think in New York, in terms of the young fan, they're in good shape.
New York is still hanging pretty strong as a baseball market.
Yeah. But I was going to ask you this. Do you think with the crop of young talent coming up, do you think baseball is moving in the right direction?
I do, but at the same time, I think it's worrisome because you make an excellent point. There are a lot of tremendous young talents in baseball. I don't trust baseball to market those talents properly.
And that's the problem.
Great job of marketing its talents. So the kid sitting in Cleveland, if the Cavs don't play, still going to be very intrigued by the idea of watching Steph Curry that night. The problem is nobody in Cleveland, an Indian fan, is going to be intrigued by the idea of watching an Oakland A's player that night. You know what I mean? Nobody gets all that juiced up about watching Mike Trout. This is tremendous young talent.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
That's troublesome. I don't know who that guy is. You know who it might have to be, because he plays in the biggest market, and market size doesn't matter as much in the NBA, obviously. Some of the biggest players playing is
Judge.
Part of the change. You're right, Aaron Judge in New York with the Yankees. If he was on the Orioles, I wouldn't be saying this, but he's on the right team.
Trout is a perfect example because I'm a baseball freak. I'm the type of guy that I'm watching the Winter League, and I'm a huge baseball guy. But Trout is a perfect example because he plays on the Angels, which is not a bad market. I mean, it's not the Dodgers, but I think he's very underrated, and I think the reason he's underrated is because he's just on a team that's bad, and it's sad. I think if he's on the Yankees or even Philly, I think if he's in Philly,
Things that happen because he's obsessed with the Philly teams. He's from South Jersey. I don't know if it's going to happen, but people think it is. By the way, go ahead.
and I think that's the problem, like you said, with the marketing. You got to market the team better. You got to market the players better. NBA does a good job of that, and that's why you see the NBA and the NFL head and shoulders, ratings-wise, also above MLB because they don't market their players the right way.
It doesn't help that the Angels don't put a good enough ball club around them either. Watch, they'll finish 81-81 this year again.
I think a break is needed here, Mr. Byrne.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, a lot to do in the final 2 hours. A little bit more into baseball. We'll keep an eye on whether the Yankees collapse again and more. Tom Byrne, Mad Dog Sports Radio tonight. Weekend.